The email from my bank arrived at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Unusual account activity alert. I almost ignored it, thinking it was another scam. I wish it had been. My name is Yasmin, and I was about to learn exactly how much my family valued my life, $47,000. That's what disappeared from my surgery fund while I was at work, crafting social media campaigns and trying not to pass out at my desk. It's been transferred to your sister's wedding account, my mother Lisa said when I called, her voice carrying that familiar note of dismissal. We needed it for the deposit on Villa Rosewood. You know how competitive those venues are. I gripped my phone tighter. That money was for my heart surgery. Oh, don't be dramatic. Dr. Patterson said you could wait a few months. Livia's wedding is in 3 weeks. The room started spinning. I sat down, pressing my hand against my chest where the familiar ache lived. You had no right. That account was in my name. We're still on the account from when you were in college, my father Reginald chimed in from the background. It was a family decision. A family decision I wasn't part of? Yasmin, Mum sighed. You've always been the responsible one. Livia needs this. Do you want your sister to lose her dream venue? To have her special day ruined? Before I could respond, I heard Livia's voice getting closer to the phone. Yasmin, Mum says you're being difficult about the venue money. Come on, it's just a few months' wait for you. Look what Jamal got me. I heard the rustle of fabric. The dress is Vera Wang. Isn't it perfect? Everyone's going to be talking about this wedding for years. My vision blurred. 3 years of savings, overtime shifts, careful budgeting. Gone. For a dress, for a venue, for Livia. Again. I need that surgery, I whispered. The condition is degenerative. Every month we wait. Family means sacrifice. Mum cut in. You're not the only one making them. Your father and I are contributing significantly to this wedding. I laughed, a hollow sound. With my money. Don't be bitter, sweetheart. It's not attractive. I ended the call and immediately dialed my best friend Emma. They did what? Emma's voice crackled through the speaker. That's theft. Call the police. They're joint account holders. It's legal. Fuck legal. This is your life we're talking about. I opened my laptop, logging into my account. The balance mocked me. $234.17. I know. Come home, Emma said. We'll figure this out. I made it to our shared apartment just as the storm hit. Thunder cracked overhead as Emma pulled me into a hug. You're shaking, she said. I'm fine. You're not fine. Your lips are blue. Where are your meds? I fumbled with my purse, hands trembling. The pill bottle was almost empty. I was going to refill them next week, after the surgery consultation. Emma's face darkened. Call Dr. Patterson, now. I did. His office put me through immediately. Not a good sign. The message he'd sent earlier was waiting in my inbox. Urgent. Surgery delay may be fatal. I sat on my bed later that night, listening to the storm rage outside. Emma had finally gone to sleep after making me promise to let her help me figure something out tomorrow, but I already knew what I had to do. My phone lit up with a text from Livia. Thanks, sis. You're the best. Can't wait to show you the centerpieces tomorrow. I turned off my phone and stared into the darkness. The thunder cracked again, and I remembered something my grandmother told me before she died. Karma comes for everyone, sweet girl, but sometimes she needs a little help finding her way. My heart stuttered in my chest, a familiar, terrifying sensation. I pressed my hand against it, feeling the irregular rhythm. 3 years of savings. Gone in one afternoon, for centerpieces and champagne fountains. I opened my laptop and created a new document. At the top, I typed, "The list." Below it, I began recording every sacrifice, every dismissal, every time they'd chosen Livia over me, every dollar they'd taken, every dream they'd crushed. The storm raged on, but I felt eerily calm. They thought they knew me, dependable Yasmin, quiet Yasmin, the one who always understood, always forgave. They had no idea what understanding really cost. My email pinged. Another message from Dr. Patterson. Urgent. Please contact office immediately regarding surgery delay complications. I closed my eyes, listening to the rain. Let them have their wedding. Let them celebrate. I could wait. After all, the best revenge takes time. I learned to hide the symptoms well over the next few weeks. Cut my heart medication in half to make it last longer. Scheduled client meetings for mornings when I had more energy. Kept a bottle of iron supplements at my desk for the dizzy spells. "You look like shit," Emma announced one morning, dropping a coffee on my desk. "And don't tell me you're fine. If you say fine, I'm calling Dr. Patterson myself." I sipped the coffee. I have a plan. Does this plan involve not dying? Because that should be priority 1. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Livia. "The wedding's in 2 days," she squealed. "Mum wants you to come to the final fitting. She says you've been avoiding family stuff." I pressed my fingers to my temple. "I'm working." "You're always working. Come on. I need my big sister there. Everyone's coming to see the dress." Emma made violent throat-cutting gestures across the desk. "Can't," I said. Deadline. "You're just jealous," Livia snapped. "Mum said you would be like this. Whatever. Just don't ruin my day." The line went dead. "Charming as ever," Emma muttered. "Now, about this plan of yours?" I turned my laptop around. On the screen were several banking alerts I'd set up using my parents' and sisters' information. "Did you know most people use the same password for everything, and they all use their pets' names or birthdays?" Emma leaned forward. "You didn't. I did. Every transaction, every account change, every credit card swipe, I'll know. That's probably illegal. So is stealing someone's surgery fund." Emma grinned. "I like vengeful Yasmin. What are you looking for?" "Patterns. Jamal's too smooth, too perfect. Nobody that charming is real." I pulled up his social media. Designer suits, startup conferences, charity galas. He's playing a role. I just need to wait for the mask to slip, while slowly killing yourself? Emma grabbed my pill bottle. "These should last a month. It's been 2 weeks. I can handle it." Like hell. She pulled out her phone. "Remember Edward? From college?" "My ex. What about him?" "He's a lawyer now. Corporate fraud, mostly. Let me call him." "Emma." "Shut up and let me help. You don't have to do everything alone." That night, I dreamed of all the times I'd stepped aside for Livia. Age 7, giving her my birthday presents because she cried. Age 12, letting her take credit for my art project because she needed the grade more. Age 16, watching her drive away in the car, our grandparents left me because she had more friends to visit. My phone buzzed at 3 a.m. A news alert I'd set up. Tech entrepreneur Jamal Santos under allegations of fraud. I sat up, heart racing dangerously. The article was small, buried in the business section. Former partners claiming misappropriated funds. Nothing proven. Yet. I forwarded it to Emma with one word. Beginning. She called immediately. Holy shit, 2 days before the wedding. The timing's wrong, I said. Too early. He'll smooth it over. How can you be so sure? Because I've watched people like him my whole life. They always land on their feet. The first fall isn't the real one. I pulled up my tracking alerts. Sure enough, large transfers from my parents' accounts, helping their precious son-in-law-to-be out of his little trouble. They're throwing money at it, I told Emma. Just like always. Your money? Not anymore. I opened my laptop, adding another entry to the list. But soon. Yasmin. Emma's voice softened. What happens when you can't hide the symptoms anymore? As if on cue, my chest tightened. I waited for the spasm to pass. I don't need to hide them forever, just long enough. For what? I looked at the article again. Small cracks in perfect facades always spread. For them to come to me, broken, desperate, the way I am now. And then? Then I teach them exactly what family loyalty means. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Dress fitting at 10. Be there. Family stands together. I typed back, of course. What else would family do? Emma sighed. You're scary when you're plotting. I learned from the best. I closed my laptop. They taught me everything I know about cruelty, about sacrifice, about family. And what's the lesson? I touched my chest where the pain lived. That Karma doesn't forget. She just needs a little patience. Another alert popped up on my phone. A business journal article. Santos Tech Ventures, the next Silicon Valley unicorn. I smiled in the darkness. The higher they climb, the harder they fall, and I would be there to watch every second. 6 months can change everything. That's how long it took for Karma to knock on my door, literally. The pounding started at midnight during a thunderstorm that matched the one from that day in my bedroom. Emma was out of town for work, and I was alone, reviewing the latest alerts on my family's finances. Credit card declined, mortgage payment bounced, investment accounts emptied. I opened the door to find 3 drenched figures huddled on my welcome mat. Mum's mascara ran in black streaks. Dad's shoulders slumped like a broken coat hanger. And Livia, perfect, precious Livia, looked like she'd aged 10 years. He's gone, Livia sobbed. Jamal's gone. Everything's gone. I stepped aside. Come in. They dripped on my hardwood floors, the ones I'd installed myself, because I couldn't afford professional installation. Mum wrung her hands, looking around my modest apartment like she was seeing it for the first time. We didn't know where else to go, Dad said quietly. I went to the kitchen and put on coffee. Through the doorway, I watched them huddle on my couch, the mighty Dawsons, reduced to refugees. When did he leave? I asked, though I already knew. My alerts had shown me everything. 3 days ago, Livia hiccuped. He cleared out our accounts. The house is being foreclosed. All my cards are maxed out. He even took my wedding rings. I set coffee cups in front of them. Mum didn't touch hers. Yasmin, we need to ask you something. Livia needs a place to stay. Dad jumped in. Just until we figure things out. I sat down slowly, feeling the familiar tightness in my chest. What happened to the condo? We had to sell it, Mum whispered, to cover some of Jamal's investments. The beach house. Second mortgage, then foreclosure. Your savings? Silence. I stood and walked to my desk drawer. Inside was a folder I'd been keeping for exactly this moment. I pulled out the bank statements, the transfer receipts, all carefully preserved. Funny, I said, letting the papers fall onto the coffee table. I thought this money was mine. Mum's face went pale. Livia stopped crying. Yasmin, Dad started. That was different. Was it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks exactly the same. Money taken without permission, lives ruined, family betrayed. We're sorry, Mum whispered. We were wrong. But Livia needs... What I needed, I cut in, my voice ice cold, was heart surgery. What I got was family means sacrifice. Livia looked up, mascara streaking her cheeks. Please, Yasmin, I have nowhere else to go. I touched my chest, feeling the steady rhythm that now cost me $300 a month in medication to maintain. Do you know what it's like to lie awake at night, wondering if your heart will stop? To count pills and pray they last until payday? We didn't know, Dad said. You didn't want to know. I picked up the transfer receipt. $47,000. That's what my life was worth to you. We'll pay you back, Mum promised quickly. Once we get back on our feet. I laughed. Like Jamal promised to make you all rich? How did that work out? Livia burst into fresh tears. Mum moved to comfort her, but I held up my hand. Stop. If you want my help, we do this my way. They froze. Livia can stay, but there are conditions. Anything, Livia whispered. I pulled out another document, one Emma's lawyer friend Edward had helped me draft. You get a job, any job, no more "it's beneath me" excuses. You clean, you cook, you contribute to bills. Of course, she nodded quickly. I turned to my parents. And you two sign this. It states that you will never ask me for money again, ever, because the moment you do, I stop being your daughter. That's cruel, Mum breathed. I learned from experts. Thunder cracked outside, like punctuation to my words. Dad reached for the paper with trembling hands. One more thing, I said, pulling out a final envelope. These are the transfer receipts from my surgery fund. Tomorrow, you're going to post a public apology on social media. You're going to tell everyone exactly what you did. No, Mom gasped. The embarrassment is nothing compared to what you did to me. I stood up. Those are my terms. Take them or leave them. They looked at each other, defeated. One by one they signed. The guest room is through there, I pointed. Livia, you can stay tonight. We'll discuss details tomorrow. As they shuffled away, Mum turned back. Thank you, sweetheart. You've always been the strong one. I waited until they were out of earshot before whispering, No, Mom, you just made me this way. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Did they show up? I typed back, right on schedule, phase 1 complete. The storm raged on outside, but inside, for the first time in months, I felt perfectly calm. They thought this was rock bottom. They had no idea how far they still had to fall. Living with Livia was like watching a butterfly try to survive in a coal mine. She lasted exactly 3 days before her first meltdown. I can't do this. She threw the sponge into the bathtub, splashing cleaning solution everywhere. I'm not a maid. I leaned against the doorframe. The grout isn't going to clean itself. This is humiliating. I have a degree in art history, paid for by Mum and Dad. Speaking of which, I held up my phone, showing her mother's latest social media post. The forced apology had gone live that morning, carefully worded to sound remorseful while saving face. Livia's face crumpled. Everyone's commenting. They're calling us thieves. Technically, they're not wrong. I didn't steal anything. No? I pulled up a photo on my phone. This was taken last month at Azure Spa, premium package, charged to Jamal's corporate card, the one he funded with investor money. She went pale. How did you... I have my ways. I forwarded the photo to a local news reporter who'd been covering Jamal's fraud case. Better get back to that grout. Emma came home that evening to find Livia still scrubbing, mascara-stained tears dripping into the tub. Damn, Emma whispered as we watched from the kitchen. You're not playing around. This is nothing. I showed her my phone. Watch the news tomorrow. The spa photo? That's cold. Remember when she took my car in high school? Told everyone it was a gift from our grandparents? Emma nodded. I remember walking 3 miles to work in the rain, every day, for 2 years. I put my phone away. Cold is relative. The story broke at 9 a.m. Fraud investigation widens. Santos's wife linked to luxury spending. Livia's spa photo was front and centre. My mother called immediately. What have you done? Me? I'm not the one who spent stolen money on seaweed wraps. The country club is buzzing. Margaret from the board called me in tears. They're revoking my membership. Tragic, I said, watching Livia scroll through the comments on her social media. Each notification made her flinch. Maybe you can take up a hobby, something less expensive. You're enjoying this, Mum accused. No more than you enjoyed spending my surgery money. Later that day, Edward stopped by with updates on Jamal's case. He'd been tracking the legal proceedings for me. They've frozen most of his known accounts, he said, spreading documents across my dining table. But there's something odd about the timing. How so? The fraud started exactly 1 month after your parents transferred your money, almost like he knew they had access to emergency funds, I finished. Almost like he planned it. Edward nodded. You want me to dig deeper? Please. I handed him a check. Consider this a retainer. That night, I found Livia sitting in the dark kitchen. No one will hire me, she whispered. I've tried 7 places. They all Google me now. Try the coffee shop on 4th Street. They're hiring baristas. A barista? Me? Beggars can't be choosers. I opened the fridge, pulled out leftovers. Dinner's in here if you want it, after you finish the bathroom. You're enjoying this, she suddenly screamed, standing up. You're loving every second of watching me suffer. I turned slowly, meeting her eyes. No, Livia, I'm not enjoying this. I'm just treating you the way you all treated me. You took everything from me. My savings, my health, my dignity. My voice remained eerily calm. Now you know how it feels. She sank back into her chair. I didn't know about your heart. Not really. Mum said it wasn't serious. Did you ask? Silence. That's what I thought. I headed for my room, then paused. The coffee shop opens at 6. Don't be late for your interview. Emma was waiting in my room. Heard the screaming. You okay? I sat on my bed, finally letting my hands shake. Did you know she never once asked about my condition, not even after they took the money? Because she's a narcissistic because she never had to care about anyone but herself. I pulled out my medication, swallowing 2 pills. But she's learning now. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Santos Tech Ventures assets seized by FBI. I showed Emma. Right on schedule. What's next? I pulled up my tracking alerts. A new transaction had posted. Livia had tried to use her emergency credit card at a luxury hotel in Miami. Declined. "Now we wait," I said. "Rock bottom has a way of revealing who people really are." And then I thought of the documents Edward had brought, of the patterns emerging in Jamal's fraud timeline, of all the pieces falling into place. Then we show them exactly how deep this betrayal goes. The bathroom light was still on, Livia's quiet sobs echoing off the tiles. I closed my bedroom door, drowning out the sound, let her cry. I'd done enough of that myself. The coffee shop hired Livia, not because they wanted to, but because I called in a favour with the owner. Sometimes revenge requires a careful balance. Push too hard and they break, not hard enough and they don't learn. "Table 7 needs clearing," I said, sitting at the counter during her shift. She wore a green apron that had already been stained with coffee grounds, her designer watch replaced by a plastic timer. "I'm on break," she muttered. "No, you're hiding from the lunch rush. Move." She grabbed a rag, shooting me a venomous look. As she wiped tables, her phone kept buzzing, more social media notifications. The spa photo had gone viral, spawning memes about privileged wives and stolen money. "Make it stop," she begged when she returned. "Please, I'll do anything." "Anything?" I stirred my coffee. "Like what I asked when I needed my surgery money back?" Her face fell. That was different. "How?" Before she could answer, Mum burst through the door, waving her phone. "Have you seen this? They're calling us criminals." Several customers looked up. Livia shrunk behind the counter. "Lower your voice," I said calmly. "You're making a scene." "A scene? Your father had to resign from the golf club. Our neighbours won't speak to us, and now this." She thrust her phone at me. Someone had dug up records of their financial transactions, including the transfer from my account. "Karma's interesting that way," I said, standing. "Livia, table 12 needs coffee." "You did this," Mum hissed. "Somehow you're behind all of it." I met her eyes. "Prove it." That night, Emma helped me sort through more documents from Edward. The lawyer had uncovered something interesting, a series of emails between Jamal and an offshore account dating back to before the wedding. "Look at this," Emma pointed. "He was planning the fraud for months, and these transactions, they match the timeline perfectly." I leaned closer. The day after they took my money, he started moving larger sums, like he knew there was a safety net. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I know what you're doing. Meet me tomorrow. Café Luna, 3 p.m. I showed Emma. "Think it's Jamal?" Only one way to find out. The next day, I arrived early, choosing a seat with a clear view of both exits. At exactly 3 p.m, a familiar face walked in. "Hello, Edward." My ex-boyfriend smiled, sliding into the seat across from me. "You've been busy." "So have you. Finding anything interesting in those records?" He pulled out a folder. "Your brother-in-law wasn't working alone. Someone tipped him off about your parents' access to emergency funds. Someone who knew they'd drain your account if pressured." My heart skipped. "Who?" "Check the email timestamps. The plan was set in motion right after a dinner party at your parents' house. Guest list included..." "Livia," I breathed. "She told him about my surgery fund." Bingo. I sat back, letting it sink in. My own sister had served me up as collateral damage. When I got home, Livia was crying on the couch again. "They're calling me a gold digger online. Someone threw coffee at me during my shift. That must be hard, I said, thinking of the emails. Being judged for something you did. I didn't do anything. No? I sat down. You never told Jamal about my surgery fund? About how Mum and Dad would do anything for you? She went still. Funny thing about email timestamps, I continued. They tell quite a story. You don't understand, she whispered. He said he needed start-up capital, that it would make us rich. And my life was a reasonable price to pay? I didn't think... That's right, you never do. I stood up. Pack your bags. What? You've got an hour. Then I'm calling the FBI with those emails. She jumped up. You can't. They'll arrest me. Like you cared if I died waiting for surgery? I'm your sister. No, I said quietly. You're just someone who shares my DNA. There's a difference. She ran to her room, slamming the door. I pulled out my phone and dialed Edward. Do it, I said. Send the emails to the investigators. You sure? This will destroy what's left of your family. I touched my chest, feeling the steady rhythm that medication had brought me. They destroyed themselves. I'm just making sure they know it. Emma came home to find Livia gone and me sitting in the dark. You okay? She knew, I said. She helped him plan it. Emma sat beside me. What now? I showed her the final piece of evidence Edward had found, proof that Jamal hadn't run away. He was hiding, waiting for things to blow over. Now, I said, we end this, once and for all. The truth would destroy them, but then again, they'd tried to destroy me first. Fair is fair. Edward laid the documents across my kitchen table, like playing cards in a high-stakes game. Each paper was another nail in my family's coffin. Jamal's in Dubai, he said, pointing to bank transactions, using a fake passport. But here's where it gets interesting. He slid forward an email chain. Your sister's been in contact with him. Emma leaned over my shoulder. That sneaky little... Wait, I said, reading closer. These messages. She's begging him to come back. And sending him money, Edward added. What's left of her savings. Almost like she's being blackmailed. I finished. My phone buzzed. Mum. Emergency family meeting. Now. I found them huddled in their rented apartment, a far cry from their former mansion. Dad looked aged, Mum's designer clothes replaced by department store brands. Livia sat in the corner, eyes red. The FBI called, Mum said without preamble. They're investigating Livia for conspiracy to commit fraud. I had to tell them everything, Livia whispered. About Jamal. About your money. I sat down slowly. Everything? He promised we'd be rich, she sobbed. Said he just needed start-up capital. When I told him about your surgery fund, he saw an opportunity, I finished. Please, Mum grabbed my hand. You have to help her. She's your sister. I pulled away. Like when she helped me? I know what we did was wrong, Dad spoke up, but this could mean prison. I pulled out my phone, opened the drafted legal document Edward had prepared. There's a way out. They leaned forward eagerly. A public statement from all of you, admitting everything, the theft, the conspiracy, all of it, plus a formal apology to all of Jamal's investors. It would ruin us, Mum whispered. You're already ruined. This way you might avoid charges. And if we refuse? I showed them the email chain. Then Jamal's location gets sent to the FBI, along with proof of Livia's involvement. You wouldn't, Livia gasped. Try me. Mum stood up, shaking. You're blackmailing your own family. No, I'm offering you a choice, more than you gave me. We were trying to protect you, Dad insisted. From what? Having enough money for life-saving surgery? Livia suddenly rushed to the bathroom, retching. When she returned, her face was ashen. There's something else, she said quietly. I'm pregnant. The room went silent. Jamal's? I asked. She nodded. Does he know? I told him last week. That's when he started demanding more money. Said he'd tell the FBI everything if I didn't pay. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The designer clothes hung loose now. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the dark circles. She was carrying the child of a man who'd used her, just like she'd used me. I'll help you, I said finally, but not for free. Mum started to speak, but Dad stopped her. What do you want? He asked. I pulled out 3 documents. First, you all sign these confessions. I'll hold them. Insurance against future betrayals. Second, you repay every cent of my surgery fund with interest. Third, I looked at Livia. You tell the truth. All of it. On social media, to the press, to everyone. It'll destroy us, Mum repeated. You should have thought of that before you stole from your dying daughter. Livia reached for the papers with trembling hands. I'll do it. Livia, no, Mum cried. I have to, Mum, for my baby. I don't want them to grow up learning what I learned from you. One by one they signed. I took photos of each signature, sending them to Edward and Emma for safekeeping. The statement goes live tomorrow morning, I said, standing. Don't warn Jamal. Don't try to back out, or everything goes to the FBI. At the door, Livia caught my arm. Why are you really helping me? I looked at her stomach, then at her face. Because that child deserves better than what we had, better than what you became. And me? You get one chance, don't waste it. That night, Emma found me staring at the drafted confession, my finger hovering over publish. Having second thoughts? No. I pressed the button, setting the timer for 8 a.m. Just wondering if revenge is supposed to feel this empty. Maybe it's not about feeling good, she said. Maybe it's about making things right. My phone buzzed. A message from Jamal to Livia, forwarded to me by Edward. Wire the money by midnight or I release everything. I smiled in the dark. He has no idea what's coming, does he? None of them do, Emma agreed. Tomorrow, the truth would detonate like a bomb. But tonight, I could finally breathe easy. My heart, at least, was steady. The confession went live at 8 a.m. sharp. By 8:05, my mother's phone was ringing non-stop. By 8:15, local news had picked up the story. By noon, it was trending. Make it stop, Mum begged when I visited. She hadn't changed out of her robe. The charity board just voted me out. 20 years of service gone. Funny how actions have consequences, I said, settling onto their rented couch. Where's Livia? Bathroom, morning sickness. My phone buzzed. Edward. Jamal took the bait. He's panicking. I smiled just as Livia emerged, looking green. Your husband's having an interesting morning. Ex-husband, she corrected, sitting down carefully. What did you do? I played the video Edward had sent. Jamal, filmed by security cameras, rushing through Dubai International Airport. He thinks you confessed everything to the FBI. He's running. But I didn't. He doesn't know that. I showed her another message that Edward had helped craft, seemingly from the FBI to Jamal's email. Cooperation from your wife has been noted. Arrest warrant pending. You're hunting him, Mum whispered. No, I'm letting him destroy himself. My phone rang. Emma, turn on Channel 7, now. I grabbed the remote. There he was, Jamal, handcuffed, being led through the airport by UAE police. The headline scrolled, Tech fraud suspect arrested attempting to flee. Livia started crying. Not the pretty tears she'd perfected over years of getting her way. Real, ugly sobs that shook her whole body. He never loved me, did he? I handed her my tablet, open to his private emails. Read it yourself. She scrolled through messages to his real girlfriend in Dubai. Plans made months before the wedding. Her own name appeared as the trophy wife, their ticket to investor confidence. I was just a prop, she whispered, like I was just a bank account. Mum tried to take the tablet. She doesn't need to see. Yes, she does. I kept my voice firm. You all do. This is what happens when you treat people like things to be used. My phone buzzed again. Edward. Package delivered. Right on cue, a courier knocked on the door. I signed for the envelope and handed it to Livia. What's this? She asked. Open it. Inside were divorce papers, already signed by Jamal. And something else. A confession, detailing every fraud, every lie, every manipulation. Including one final twist. He knew, Livia read, her voice shaking. He knew about your heart condition before the wedding. He said it made you the perfect target, because you'd never let your sister's wedding be ruined. Mum sank into a chair. Dad, silent until now, started to cry. We did this, he said. We made you vulnerable. We taught him exactly how to use you both. I stood up. The divorce will be final in 30 days. The confession ensures you won't face charges, Livia. Consider it my gift to my future niece or nephew. Why? She asked. After everything we did? Because someone has to break the cycle. I touched my chest, where the steady rhythm reminded me of everything I'd survived. And I'm stronger than any of you ever knew. I left them there, surrounded by the wreckage of their choices. Emma was waiting in her car outside. Ready? I nodded. Hospital first? The surgery I'd finally scheduled wasn't major, just a procedure to help manage symptoms, but it was something I'd fought for, saved for, bled for. The GoFundMe's at 90,000, Emma said as we drove. People really connected with your story. Anonymous donors? Not so anonymous. Edward traced most of it to your parents' social circle. Seems they're trying to make amends. I laughed softly. Too little, too late. Maybe, but it's something. My phone lit up, a text from Livia. I found something you should see. Attached was a video file. Jamal, speaking to his real girlfriend, recorded secretly on Livia's phone. Once we get the old man's money, we'll dump the trophy wife. Her sister's the real prize, all that medical insurance money waiting to be claimed when her heart gives out. I forwarded it to Edward with 2 words. Use it. The hospital loomed ahead. Emma squeezed my hand. Ready to get better? I thought of my family. Broken, but maybe, finally, healing. Of Livia's baby, who would grow up knowing a different kind of truth. Of my own heart, damaged but still beating. I already am, I said. My phone buzzed one last time. Breaking news. Tech fraud expands. Murder. Plot uncovered. I turned off my phone. Let them all burn. I had a life to save. My own. The cabin by the coast was exactly what I needed. Waves crashed against the shore as I sat on the deck, my surgical scar healing beneath my shirt. Emma brought out coffee, settling into the chair beside me. "Mail came," she said, dropping a stack of envelopes in my lap. I sorted through them, bills, magazines, a thick cream envelope with familiar handwriting. "Livia." Emma nodded. "Third letter this week." I added it to the growing pile of unopened correspondence from my family. The stack had become a measure of time, each envelope marking another attempt at reconciliation. "You're not even curious?" Emma asked. "I know what they say. We're sorry. We've changed. Please come home." I tossed the letter aside. Home is here now. My phone buzzed. Edward. Jamal took the plea deal. 20 years minimum. Attempted murder charges stuck. "Good," I said, showing Emma the message. "You know, for someone who orchestrated the perfect revenge, you don't seem very celebratory." I touched my chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath my fingers. Because it was never about revenge. It was about survival. The screen door creaked. My new neighbour, Sarah, walked up, carrying a casserole dish. She'd been bringing food since I moved in, worried about the poor dear, recovering from heart surgery. "Thought you girls might be hungry," she said, setting it down. "Oh, more letters from the family?" I'd told her everything over late-night talks on this very deck. She'd become something of a surrogate mother figure, the kind who actually cared if I lived or died. "They keep trying," I said. "And you keep healing," she replied simply. Sometimes that's answer enough. A car pulled into the driveway. Through the trees, I recognized Livia's new sedan, modest, practical, nothing like her old lifestyle. "I told her not to come," I said to Emma. "No, you didn't. You never answered her texts asking if she could visit." Livia emerged, 7 months pregnant now. She carried a small box. "Before you send me away," she said, climbing the deck stairs, "I brought something you should have." She opened the box. Inside was a familiar gold locket, our grandmother's. "Mum gave it to me for the wedding," she said quietly. "But Grandma always meant it for you. She told me before she died." I didn't reach for it. "I'm having a girl," Livia continued. "I'm naming her Grace." She touched her stomach. "Because that's what I need to ask for." Sarah stood up. "I'll put the casserole inside. Emma?" They left us alone. The waves kept crashing. "I sold everything," Livia said. "The designer clothes, the jewellery. It's all in a trust for Grace now, and—" She pulled out a cheque. "This is the first payment, for your surgery fund. Keep it. Please, let me try to fix what I broke." "Some things can't be fixed, Livia. Some betrayals go too deep." She sat down heavily. "I know, but I have to try, for her." She looked at her belly. "I don't want her to grow up thinking it's okay to hurt people you love, like I did." I studied my sister, really looked at her. The expensive highlights were gone, replaced by natural brown. No makeup, no fake nails. Just Livia, stripped bare. "What about Mum and Dad?" "Dad's in therapy. Mum's struggling, but they're trying." She stood up. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not even asking for a relationship. I just wanted you to know that everything you did, exposing us, stopping Jamal, making us face ourselves, it worked. We're changing." She left the box with the locket and walked away. At the stairs, she turned back. "The baby kicks whenever I talk about you, like she knows, like she's saying thank you for saving us both from him." After she left, Emma and Sarah came back out. "You okay?" Emma asked. I opened the box, lifted out the locket. Inside was a tiny photo of me and Grandma, taken the day she told me I was her strongest grandchild. "You know what the hardest part of revenge is?" I asked. "What?" Knowing when to stop, I picked up Livia's letter, finally opening it. Inside was an ultrasound photo. On the back she'd written, "She has your heart." Sarah squeezed my shoulder. "Sometimes the best revenge is living well." I touched my surgical scar, thinking of grace growing in my sister's belly, of second chances and clean slates, of hearts broken and healing. "Maybe it's time," I said softly, "to write my own letter." The waves crashed against the shore, constant as a heartbeat. Behind me, Emma started dinner. Sarah hummed while watering her plants, and somewhere a baby girl kicked, waiting to be born into a family that was learning, finally, how to love without destruction. I picked up my pen and began to write,